What's up, Planeswalkers? It's your boy K-Dog. Got a fun Abzan list for you guys for the FNM Singleton event that's going on. In this one, we're playing a lot of the newer cards, especially around the theme of Nethroi, Apex of Death. It's a 5 mana, 5/5 Death Touch, Lifelink, Cat, Nightmare Beast. And it has Mutate for, 7 mana? 4 and then green or white plus black. And whenever it mutates, you return any number of target creature cards with total power 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So it's just a fantastic late game threat, as you can just rebuild your entire board state and just outvalue your opponents like crazy. And we have some fantastic ways of doing that. Otherwise, just a 5/5 for 5 is perfectly fine, and then you can always mutate onto it later as well. So some of the other new cards we got here, of course, Vivien, 5 mana, 3 loyalty, Planeswalker. We are fairly creature heavy, so we can look at the top card of our library anytime, and we can cast creature spells from the top of our library. And we can +1 to make a 3/3 beast with Vigilance, Reach, or Trample. And then we can -2 whenever we cast our next creature spell. We search our library for a creature with lesser converted mana cost and put it onto the battlefield. So we have some nice utility creatures on the lower end as well, so no matter what you cast, you're going to get some pretty solid value out of this at pretty much any stage of the game. And yeah, just be able to make 3/3s and cast creatures off top of your library. That's fantastic card advantage right there. We also got the Auspicious Starrix, 5 mana, 6/6 beast. We can mutate it for 6, and whenever it mutates, we exile cards from the top of our library until we exile X permanent cards, where X is the number of times this creature has mutated. Since we are pretty creature heavy, we got a couple Planeswalkers in here as well. We're going to be hitting some pretty sweet permanents off of this. We even have this nice saga, of course, Elspeth Conquers Death. It's another fantastic card to just pull out of nowhere. But yeah, we've also got a Boneyard Lurker. It's a 4 mana, 4/4. It's got Mutate for 4 as well. And whenever it mutates, we return a permanent card from our graveyard to your hand. We also got Migratory Greathorn, just a fantastic, especially in a 3-color deck for that little bit of fixing. As when it mutates, we search for a basic land and put it onto the battlefield tapped. And it was just a 3/4. And Gemrazer is a nice 4/4 with Reach and Trample. We can mutate it for 3. And if we mutate it, we destroy an artifact or enchantment. And we also got an Insatiable Hemophage, just a 3/3 Death Touch for 4. However, it mutates for 3. And whenever it mutates, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, equal to the number of times this creature has mutated. So I was kind of a little bit underwhelmed when I first read this card. I mean, it seems decent. The mutate for 3 as a 3/3 Death Toucher onto something smaller. It's pretty reasonable. So that actually works out pretty well. But the incremental life gain and life loss is actually pretty decent. So I've been kind of impressed by this card. I also got a Necropanther. It's a 3/3 for 3. And the mutation is for 4. But whenever it mutates, we get a creature back with 3 or less mana from our graveyard straight to the battlefield. So that's awesome. So we have a nice little kind of a recursion theme going on here. Mythos of Nethroi is another new card, just fantastic removal spell, 3 mana, instant speed to destroy a creature. Or if you use the Abzan colors, that's green, white, and black, we can destroy any non-land permanent. So instant speed, that's pretty fantastic rate. Let's have a Grimdancer. It's a 3/3 for 3 mana, double black. When it enters the battlefield, we get to choose 2 counters among Menace, Death Touch, and Lifelink. So that's pretty sweet right there. And if our opponent's not playing a whole bunch of creatures, we can just get the Menace. If their opponent has like bigger creatures, obviously we'll go for Death Touch. And Lifelink is always a fantastic option as well. Let's get the Lavabrink Venturer. Seems like a pretty interesting card here, a 3/3 for 3. And we get to choose odd or even when it enters the battlefield. And it has protection from all spells of odd or even. So it includes creatures or removal spells, damage spells, anything like that. So Venturer is actually a pretty solid card, pretty resilient. We also got Essence Symbiote, works really well with mutation obviously. It's a 2/2 for 2. And any creature that mutates, we get a +1 counter on that creature, and we gain 2 life. And Heartless Act, just a fantastic removal, 2 mana, instant speed. We destroy a creature with no counters on it, or remove up to 3 counters from target creature. So either way, you can get some pretty solid value. And obviously most creatures still don't have counters on them, so you can be able to 2 mana just destroy anything for the most part. So some of the rest of the creatures here are, of course, we're in Abzan colors, so Knight of the Ebon Legion doesn't really need a whole lot of explanation. Chain Whip Arachneer, I've been really impressed by this card as well. It's a 1 mana, 1/2 with Reach. and when enters, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature with flying and opponent controls. So if your opponent's got any kind of a Healer's Hawks or Spectral Sailors or any kind of cheap flyers going on, works pretty well against stuff like that. And of course, just having reach, you can just always chump block flyers and nothing else, and then it comes back later on with Escape at 5 mana and exiling 4 other cards from our graveyard, and escapes with 3 +1/+1 counters on it. And then of course, this allows its Enter the Battlefield trigger, which is great. And speaking of Enter the Battlefield triggers, we've got Charming Prince. Just a 2/2 for 2. When enters, we can scry, gain life, or exile another creature our control, and it comes back down. So a kind of nice way to kind of abuse a couple of Enter the Battlefield triggers and things like that. Or if we mutate onto something, we can always exile that and then have those creatures come back down separately if we want to go a little bit wider. Maybe something to consider. And of course, gaining life if your opponent gets off to a more aggressive start. And most of the time, you're just going to probably use this for the scry effect, just to kind of fix your draws. Also, Order of Midnight to kind of go along with our kind of recursion theme. As with 2 mana sorcery, we can return a creature card from our graveyard to your hand, or we can just play it down as a 2/2 flyer that cannot block. And then for a little bit of fixing and ramp, we got the Incubation Druid and the Paradise Druid. And then also going to try out the Corpse Knight. Seems like it could work pretty well here in this list, especially if we're bringing creatures back. It's a 2/2 for 2, and then anytime a creature enters the battlefield under our control, each opponent loses 1 life. So just a nice way to kind of get some extra value out of our recursion and kind of ping down our opponent and help us kind of close out games. And then of course, Banishing Light, just a fantastic utility removal spell. And then Midnight Reaper for some card advantage. We have lots of ways to recur our creatures, so if we have to block with them in the early game, and they die, and they give us a card, and then we just recur them back later on with some of our other spells, then it's fantastic value for us. And Murderous Rider, of course, is just a fantastic removal spell for creatures and planeswalkers, and then playing it down as a 2/3 lifelinker. Thrashing Brontodon for the artifact and enchantment hate, or just having a 3/4 body for 3 mana is pretty sweet. Then of course, we can always just bring it back. And then Mortify, just for some additional removal for creatures or enchantments. Same thing here with Knight of Autumn, 2/1 for 3 mana. We can destroy an artifact or enchantment, or we can gain life, or we can put +1 counters on it. Obviously works well with our recursion theme, or with the Charming Prince. And then for our mutation, we have a Dirge Bat, the Bactra Dark Destroyer, 4 mana, 3/3 flying with flash. That's pretty sweet. So you can always potentially catch your opponent off guard by flashing this down during their combat step and maybe kill something, or you can just play it on their end step and just start swinging in out of nowhere with a 3/3 flyer. And of course, anytime you mutate onto it, we destroy a creature or planeswalker and opponent controls. That's pretty fantastic. Also got of course Questing Beast, just a good card. Shifting Ceratops, same thing. Pelucanos, pretty fantastic with Mutate, as it's it's a 0/0 with 6 +1/+1 counters on it. So anything gets mutated onto it also has those 6 counters on it. And same thing here with the Escape for 12. And it also gives us another way to kind of interact with our opponent's creatures, paying 3 mana to fight another creature. And then of course having the Escape as well is pretty sweet. And then Vraska, the Golgari Queen, just fantastic in these sort of singleton formats. Just the flexibility that she provides works really, really well. You'd be surprised. 4 mana, 4 loyalty planeswalker. We can -3 to destroy any non-land permanent with mana 3 or less, or we can +2 to potentially sack a permanent and gain a life and draw a card. And if she sticks around, we can -9 and basically win the game. Of course, Elspeth Conquers Death, another way for us to kind of interact with our opponent's board, especially exiling, and then getting one of our creatures or planeswalkers back on the 3rd saga. Also got the Cavalier of Thorns, just a nice value creature. And what else do we got? And then Trostani. That's really, really sweet for our Nethroi. It's only 1 power, so that only counts as 1 out of the 10 power that Nethroi, Apex of Death, can bring back to the battlefield. And then it's a nice Anthem effect for our whole board. And then it also puts 2 1/1 soldier tokens down with lifelink. And of course, has a little bit of protection from like Agent of Treachery and things like that. So that's pretty sweet. And then at our top end here, we have Kogla and Garrick. So Kogla, the 6 mana 7/6. When it enters, it can fight. It does fight. It's actually not a melee ability. It fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Up to 1. So you can, yes, you can choose not to. And then when it attacks, you destroy an artifact or enchantment defending player controls. So you can get rid of a creature, and then the following turn when it attacks, you get rid of an artifact or enchantment. Just fantastic value. And then if you return a human you control to its owner's hand, we can give it indestructible. I don't know how often that's going to be relevant, but obviously the Charming Prince is a human, so that pretty fantastic synergy right there. But otherwise, just being able to destroy a creature and then potentially destroy an artifact or enchantment as well, and having a 7/6 body down on the battlefield is fantastic. Then, of course, Garrick for some additional removal and additional creatures. We can 0 to get 2/2 wolf tokens, or we can -3 to destroy a creature and draw a card. And then, of course, with all of our creature-heavy deck, if we get to -6 it, we'll basically just win the game, as all of our creatures get +3/+3 and have trample, which obviously works well with things like Trostani, Kogla, Nethroi, bringing a bunch of creatures back, and things like that. So yeah, it's pretty. Should be a pretty fun deck for the FNM event. Our mana base, we are mostly black and green, so we got 1 plains, of course the Castle Locthwain, 3 swamp, 4 forests, and then all of the dual lands. And then we also got the nice tri-land here in the Indatha Triome. We've got a little bit of fixing. We've got 1 Evolving Wilds, and we're going to run 1 Fabled Passage, so we can get to our double green, double black, double white, and all that stuff to make sure we can play as consistently as possible in our Singleton deck. So yeah, if you like kind of a Golgari, grindy type matches with some recursion and lots of value plays, it's a pretty fun deck. And yeah, hope you guys give it a try. Let me know what you think. And we'll see you in the next one. All right, thanks for watching. Take care.